Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's Facebook Live, where we're talking about managing a book club unit, or also known as a literature circles unit. Many teachers call it literature circles. I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm paying attention to my phone and the comments because the program I'm using, I can't see comments. I still haven't figured out why. But I'm really excited to be here today to talk about this because today was our first day of our book club unit. And in my classroom, I teach 8th grade English, and my students are really excited about the books. I actually posted a picture of the books we're reading in the Facebook group. If you're not a part of it, you should join. You just have to answer a few questions to join. But yeah, it's really overwhelming, this kind of unit, but it's also such a powerful way to build a community of readers in your classroom. But like, how do you manage it? And so I'm going to be answering 3 questions that I came up with that I feel like a lot of, at least me, myself, these are questions I've asked a lot as a teacher myself. And then also I'm going to show you the unit. I have a membership. It's called Workshop Teacher Membership. It's for teachers grades 6th through 8th. And it's open right now, which is really awesome. It's $25 a month. And it's, you can cancel anytime if you're not using the materials. A lot of the materials are editable. And I love writing lessons for teachers and sharing them with teachers who are into it. So if you're into it, you might want to try it out. I think a lot of people don't know what's inside of your membership, Amanda. Like, what exactly would I get if I joined your membership? So I'm going to show you, and then it might, if you don't want to join, that's totally cool. You don't have to join, but it might inspire you to make your own things. So stick around so you can, after I answer these 3 very important questions, you can check out the inside of what members get the first of every month. So every month I send out a new unit, and the unit that's coming out February 1st is called the Book Clubs and Literary Analysis Unit. So it's not only organizing a book club and teaching lessons using the reading workshop model. Thank you for the thumbs up. Sometimes I feel like I'm all alone here. It's also teaching students how to write literary essays. Yes, I said the dreaded word essay. Literary analysis pieces. I don't know, that's kind of a mouthful, but I hate the word essay. But I don't know, with that type of academic writing, you kind of have to say it. You have to say it. Okay, so so these are the 3 questions that I'm going to try and answer here. How do you get books? And do you even need books? Because there's actually like an alternative to books if you don't have books, like to be able to do some sort of literature analysis club style type of unit. Do you really even need books? I'll talk about that. So how do you get books? And then these 2 questions, I love these questions. You're probably going to love them too if you're a teacher. How do you get kids to actually read the books and keep up with the books and keep up with the reading? So I'm going to answer that. And then how do you get kids to actually have meaningful discussions about the books? Because like in a book club unit, and actually I have a podcast episode coming out this weekend that goes in a lot more detail about all of this. So if you're not subscribed on iTunes, go look up the Workshop Teacher podcast. I'm trying to get an episode out at least every other week, but it's all about book clubs, and it's a longer episode. It's like 30 minutes. This isn't going to take that long, this Facebook Live, but let me answer these questions. So how do you get books? So, before I talk about how to get books, because that's a pain. Like, if you don't have any books, how are you supposed to teach a book club unit this year? I don't know. I need to check Facebook to make sure. I need to see your comments if anyone's commenting. If you're here, tell me, do you teach book clubs? Do you do this? Have you ever tried it before? What problems have you run into? I love hearing about problems because they inspire the videos that I post. Because I have all sorts of ideas and opinions about how to solve problems. So Okay, how do you get books, but not, I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to talk about short stories, because I feel like you could do the same kind of things that you would do in a book club unit with short stories. And I'm actually going to show you a big list of short stories that are in the membership materials that people are getting on February 1st. I came up with a huge list of short stories, a huge list of books by grade level for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and links to everything. So I'll show you that. But I feel like you can do sort of a book club unit with just short stories. So students are reading the same short story together and discussing it and analyzing it and annotating it. And so it's like kind of a mini book club unit, but with short stories. So do you even need books to do a book club unit? Not necessarily. You could just use short stories. But how do you get books? So here's how I have obtained all of the books. And I don't know if anyone's if you all have followed me on Instagram, but and I've been on Facebook Lives where you've seen the back of my classroom. I have this huge library, and I got most of my books through Donors Choose. I love Donors Choose, especially at prime times when they do these promotional things where people double donations, and there's a lot of different times to do Donors Choose, and Donors Choose will people want to get tax write-offs, like big companies like Chevron, and so they just dump all this money into Donors Choose, and they're like, we'll double everyone's donations. And so a lot of the books that I got were through Donors Choose. Book club, so you could write a book club, and Donors Choose is fairly straightforward and easy. You just have to type up a little grant about what you want and why you want it. You got to post some pictures. You got to write thank you letters to the people when they donate, and it's pretty easy to get a project funded on Donors Choose. So Donors Choose is a great way to get books. Another place that is really an awesome location is libraries. The only thing with libraries, when they have book sales, is getting multiple copies of one book. So that's always kind of hard. I love Amazon, used books on Amazon, public libraries, half price books. I love half price books, but mainly Donors Choose is where I've gotten all of my books, my book club books. And it does take some time to accumulate books for a book club unit. So do short stories, because that's the easy way to do it. And I'll show you a big list in a minute. Okay. How do you, this is such a hard question. How do you get students to actually read the books that the book club group is reading? And I feel like there's lots of different answers to this. So my first reaction to that question is, you gotta pick books that kids are gonna like. You know what I mean? You gotta pick books that kids are like, ooh, there's something a little bit rated PG-13 in this book. Honestly, that's my honest answer. If you want kids to read, then go with YA literature. I feel like there's certain books that you just cannot put down. And you might even read, I love the idea, I haven't ever done this myself, but the idea of first chapter Fridays. And then also I actually just recently did this unit with short stories. So I did a short story kind of community unit where all the kids were reading one story that they chose. And that's another thing, letting students choose. So you have a list of all these different short stories, and kind of you tell students, get them all intrigued by the short stories, and then you have them pick which one they're most interested in reading. So they chose that short story, or they chose that book, so they're more motivated to read it. I also really am a fan of buddy reading, especially if kids are they're not, and you got to pay attention to Lexile level, what reading level is a student at? I mean, obviously they're not going to be able to read a book that's a little bit above, their Lexile level, or a lot above their Lexile level. And like I said, I don't think that classics are the best type of book for implementing a book club unit. And I am sorry if I'm missing anyone's comments. It's so hard to do these things like, oh, there you all are. I see you. Okay, Jenny. Jenny's here. Thank you for joining, Jenny. Yay! And Patti. Hi, Patti. Thanks for coming. Okay, I see your comments now. It took me a while. Thank you for joining live. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment. eBay is great for books. Thank you, Patti, for sharing that. I bought like a swimsuit one time on eBay. I've never bought books on eBay though. It's a good idea. Okay, so back to getting kids to actually read. I don't even remember what I was just saying. I'm so distracted right now. But it's cool. It's whatever. So yeah, like buddy reading, and making sure your students' Lexile levels match, the books match the students' Lexile levels. Find out what level is this book, because yeah, that really deters from reading when it's too hard and they just are like, oh, I can't do this. And then like if you go to YouTube and you look up like audio versions, Spark Notes, like students, if the student has a really, they have a really hard time reading and the book is a little challenging and not that interesting, sometimes I resort to Spark Notes. Yes, I do it because I want my students to feel successful. I want them to feel like they can participate in the discussions too. So, and then also giving students time to read in class. So that work time portion of workshop, you teach a mini lesson, and I'll show you examples of mini lessons that Jenny's going to get on Saturday. I'm so excited, Jenny, for you. And Patti, are you a member too? I don't remember if you're a member or not, Patti. But so I'll show you some of the mini lessons that I have in the unit for the book club unit. But letting students read in class and, paying attention, like, are they actually reading or are they pretend reading? And going up to that kid and sitting next to them and saying, I noticed that you're kind of pretending to read. What's up? How can I help? And sometimes, kids are so honest if we just give them a chance. And that's what I love about workshop, having conferences, having those conversations with students, figuring out like, how can I help you? How can I support you? I'm your teacher. I love you. I want you to be successful with this. And sometimes they're just like, Miss Warner, it's so boring. And I'm like, well, what's boring about it? And I never assign, by the way, I never give a book club book. Actually, I can't say never because I probably have in the past, but I always read them. Like I read all the books, I read all the short stories. So I know if it's boring or if it's interesting. And so I'll be able to talk to them like, well, what part are you on? Oh yeah, that part is boring. Or that part's called the exposition. That part's, yes, the exposition is boring. They're introducing everything to you. It gets good, I promise. And I might even give them a little tidbit about what gets good later. So I'm trying to get them excited through these conversations. So that's a long answer to how do you get kids to actually read and keep up with the reading? Well, that's another part, keeping up with the reading. So with the discussions, if a student is behind on the reading, if they didn't read up to the pages they were supposed to for the discussion, I do not penalize my students. And that's pretty controversial. I just say, you know what? Life happens. I understand. You're not going to participate today. You're just going to read during the discussion. And so it's a realistic consequence for not keeping up. They have to read by themselves. And some students never participate in the discussions. And it's just how it is. And then I have discussions with them during the conferences. So I'm checking it. They know that if they're not participating with their group, they're going to see my face in their face. So that's also an incentive for them to like, come on, you got to read, or you're going to have a conference with Miss Werner about how your reading is going. So how do you get kids to actually read and keep up? There's my answer. Okay. How do you get kids to actually discuss? Okay. To actually have a real discussion. So, roles, like giving kids roles, like you're the leader, you're the timer, you're the questioner, you're the reporter. I feel like that stuff just gets in the way. Like, honestly, I feel like that stuff is just another hurdle, another hoop that we're setting up for kids. And I don't think that it works. And you totally have every right to disagree with me. And maybe it's worked for you. Maybe I've done it wrong. I don't know. But to me, like, roles, it just always seems like something that gets in the way of real conversations. So the way that I set up discussions is I'm really clear. Like, I tell my students, I have this clipboard. Here's what I'm looking for. And I teach basic discussion skills and advanced discussion skills. And when you break it up like that, you're like, okay, this is basic. This is what, and I talk about how some adults don't even have the basic discussion skills down, like in staff meetings. So basic is eye contact. Talking one person at a time, not doing things like, playing with your pencil or doodling or just like staring off into space, like actual, and I'll show you this poster of the basic and advanced discussion skills. Jenny, you have it. Maybe Patti, you have it too. What else? Yeah. So just like staying on task, making eye contact, and what was the other one? And talking one at a time, trying not to interrupt, even though sometimes that happens, especially if the discussion is really interesting. And then the advanced discussion skills are looking back at the book for evidence and like, what part are you talking about? Go back to that part, like open your book, and sometimes discussions are silent. I tell my students that if there's awkward, long silence, that's cool. Like, you all should be looking at your book, rereading the part that you're talking about. So looking back at the book is an advanced discussion skill. Repeating back what you heard your group members say is an advanced discussion skill. So saying, so I heard you say, and then repeating back what you heard them say is advanced. And I honestly can't remember the other ones. I'll show you the poster in a minute because it's part of what I give my members. And then what else? Okay. And so I show a clipboard with this stuff on it, and I have it, and I'm walking around, and my students know they have to ignore me. They cannot talk to me. They have to talk to each other. The only time that I intervene and I say, like, I am a fly on the wall. Like, you're not talking to me. You're looking, like, when I walk by you or when I stand by you, don't be intimidated. I'm just listening. And all I'm doing is putting check marks when I see you doing these things. That's all I'm doing. And I don't even really use this. Yes, I do grade some discussions, but I feel like kids need low stakes discussions. Like, we don't need to be grading everything, especially if they don't have very much practice with discussions. And actually, I'm planning on posting on my YouTube channel a video. I got my parents' permission, my students' permission. I have all the paperwork filled out of my students having a meaningful discussion. I'm so excited about this, about a book called All the Light We Cannot See, which is one of my all-time favorite books. So I'm going to look for that on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting that, but like showing students what meaningful discussions look like, can be really powerful too. Like, what does this actually look like? And doing fish bowls and coaching students during the fishbowl discussion can be a great way to see what an actual meaningful discussion looks like. And then also questions. The day before the discussion, I teach my students about two different types of questions: open questions and closed questions. And both are powerful. Both are good questions. I think the closed questions are more like kind of understanding. Do we understand everything that's happening in this book? Let's see if everyone understands what's happening. And it's not like, gotcha, you weren't reading kind of questions. It's just like, I wonder if they understood this part. Let me ask some questions about that. So kids write their own questions. And then the open questions are more like, there's more than one answer to this, like opinion questions. Like, what do you think of the book so far? What do you think about the character's choice in this part? Things like that. And so I try to model these kinds of questions that students can ask during discussions. So those are my answers to how do you get kids to actually discuss. Also, food. If you let kids eat during discussions, they kind of look forward to it and they relax a little bit. And I think that's really like important, because if it's really high stakes, they're gonna feel pressure and they're gonna kind of clamp down and maybe not have as meaningful of a discussion. And like Socratic seminars, sometimes I feel like that's such a high stakes type of discussion where kids feel like they have to like say the perfect thing to get a good grade. And I don't like that. I don't like facilitating discussions like that. I like to have it be relaxed. So that students can actually have good conversation, because kids know how to talk. They're human. They know how to talk. Another thing I do is I say, you know what, you know that next Netflix show that you're watching that you talk to your friends about at lunch? I want you to talk about this book like that Netflix show. So I tell my students this too. Okay, it is time for me to show you inside Workshop Teacher Membership. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And let's see here. I hope you can see my screen. I think you can. Okay, so this is a folder, and everyone gets this folder once they get the curriculum. I'll send an email to everyone and I'll say, hey everyone, log into your account, and there's videos, and it looks way nicer than this, but like there's this section that says curriculum. And when teachers that are part of my membership download that, this is what they download. It's a zip file. They unzip the zip file, and then this is what they get. This is what's inside that zip file. And so there's a unit at a glance, which I think that'd be good to show you. There's a teacher's guide. And these are some of my favorite books. So there's a picture. These are all the books that my students are reading right now. I love these books. There's All the Light We Cannot See. And like Freak the Mighty, The Skin I'm In, Boy 21, Shark Girl, those are really, really high interest books for kids who maybe struggle a little bit with reading. The other ones are a little bit more advanced, like The Book Thief is definitely more for advanced kids, 8th graders, high schooler. All the Light We Cannot See. Your average, 8th grade readers, I think You Don't Know Me, The Boy Who Dared. Purple Hibiscus is definitely more advanced. So anyways, Freak the Mighty is one of my favorite books ever, by the way. Same with Book Thief and All the Light We Cannot See. I don't know. All these books are really good. Okay. So that's that. And then let's see. So there's assessment tools. They're all editable. So there's a pre-assessment. There's a single point rubric that's editable, and you get the Word document and you get a Google Doc. So to get the Google Doc, you go to mini lessons. Okay. And so when you click this, it's a PDF document of all of the mini lessons. And this is not clickable yet. I still need to do that, but usually this is clickable and you can click it and it'll go straight to the mini lesson. So here are all the mini lessons in the unit. So the first mini lesson is students just browsing, reading the back of all the options, reading the first few pages. And by the way, this unit can be used with books or short stories. It's up to you. And then and then there's a survey for students to take to pick the book they want to read. And they get to pick like their top 3 choices, or short story. And then you kind of make the groups based on the surveys that students take. And then there's a calendar where, students have a date that they have to finish by, things like that. And so that's a second mini lesson. Writing long about reading. So that's just like, okay, what are students going to do when they read? So that's a lesson about just stream of consciousness writing and kind of responding to what you've been reading. Questions for understanding. That's what I was talking about earlier, about how kids need to come up with questions before the discussion for their book club to discuss. And then this one's the discussion mini lesson. And then this one starts to get into the literary analysis part of the unit. So you teach students about all the different author's craft moves that are out there that they should be paying attention to, and how those clue students into what the theme of the book is. And so that they can write a literary essay about the theme or themes, more than one themes. And then students discuss themes, then claims statement, that's a typo, claim statements, and then evidence and reasoning for their theme essay. And then getting ready to publish. By the way, this doesn't come out till Saturday, so I'm still editing. So this is just kind of what the lesson looks like. They're really short, so I'm gonna scroll like this so that you can kind of see just how easy it is to follow. And then there's a choice board slideshow that's editable. And so every lesson you give students like, here's your choices for work time today. So you click that and it'll prompt you to make a copy of the choice board. And so you can put it in your drive. And so you can do that all throughout the unit. And that's how you access so there we are. This is the choice board. So every mini lesson comes with choice boards. So you can kind of see each mini lesson, what to give students for their choices. And then this will prompt you to make a copy. This is the rubric. It'll prompt you. So as soon as you click it, it prompts you to make a copy. So yeah, and then I was going to show you the list of short stories. And then these are all the materials that go with all the mini lessons. Now, when I go back to this, you'll see like the materials are listed here for each mini lesson, as you can see here. So this is a writing long about reading one. And a lot of the lessons come with videos that are on my YouTube channel and have examples. So this one's this is prompts. This is an example that I did writing long about the first chapter of Harry Potter. So I do a lot of the writing so that teachers can have examples. So let me just real quick go to mentor text. So these are all the examples. So let's see. So this is a theme essay example that I wrote. This is a literary essay on Harry Potter's and the Sorcerer's Stone that I wrote. Chains theme essay that I wrote. So all of these, like, I like to write what my students write so that I can see, like, okay, what do they need help with? This is a theme essay writing sample that needs work. And so the very last mini lesson, they pretend to be editors. And I talk about editors aren't what you think they are in the last mini lesson. Editors actually don't edit like the way that you would think they do. So the last mini lesson has them go into the editor's shoes. And anyways, so short stories by grade. I'm going to click that. And so this is a list of different short stories that you can have instead of books for your book club unit. So that's pretty cool. I guess this isn't that giant of a list. These are just some of my favorite short stories. I was like saying it was a giant list. I guess it's not. Oh, wait. No, that's not the same thing. So yeah, that's the inside. Here's the mini lesson materials. Many. This looks crazy. I'm going to separate it out by lesson before this comes out on Saturday, because it just looks kind of overwhelming. But there's also standards. So it's TEKS aligned. It's also Common Core aligned. So yeah, that's what members get every first of the month. I have not been paying attention to comments. Oh my goodness. So I really appreciate all of you coming live. And if you have any questions about my membership or any ideas that you have about implementing book clubs in your class, I would love to hear about them in the comments. And I'm excited for the podcast episode that's coming out this weekend about book clubs. I covered a lot of what's in the podcast episode here, but maybe I said some things that I didn't think of off this. You know how I got ready for this today? I just wrote a Post-it. This is what I do. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the heart and the thumbs up and the coming live. I really appreciate it. I hope this helped someone out there in the world, because teachers deserve all the help, all the support, all the love, virtual love hug right now. Our jobs are so hard. They're hard. Okay. You're enough. And that's all I have to say. Like, whatever you're doing, you're beautiful, you're enough. And I'm going to go now. Thank you for watching. And don't forget, you can share this video with a colleague. Just click the share button and share it with someone. Share it to a Facebook page or share it to a Facebook group or a colleague if you found it helpful. Okay, bye.